Hello, welcome to another edition of the VOD Weekly News Recap. I am Glorious Haddijatou Njie. Good evening. Now let's look at the headlines. President Barrow commissioned 17 new buses. UTG reacts to sex for grades scandal. 2 arrested after attack on church. Aki Task Force presents their report to President Barrow. The government remembers victims of April 10th and 11th students' demonstration. Ministry of Health launches the National Medicine Therapeutics Committee. Sudan fails to meet deadline to form civilian government. Equatorial Guinea, 11 deaths from Marburg virus. UN chief appeals for massive international support for Somalia. Italian state of emergency to tackle migrant boats. Trump returns to New York to give deposition in fraud lawsuit. Indian soldiers shot self at same base where 4 others killed. Those were the headlines. Now let's look at the news in detail. His Excellency President Adama Barrow on Wednesday commissioned 70 new buses at McCarthy Square in Banjul. Amongst these, 59 will be deployed as public transport, whilst the 11 will be school buses, to ease transportation stress and enable people to get to work on time and students to get to school early, mentioned the President. President Barrow stated that this is another milestone for his government under the significant development in the annual of road communications in the Gambia.
This development is not accidental. It is a timely strategic initiative designed to accompany the infrastructural upgrading of our national road network through improvement of the existing roads and construction of new ones, particularly in areas where the need is greatest. With this in view, the deployment of the new buses will complement the current road transport operations of the country. As such, I am proud to observe that this is one of the largest fleets of buses ever acquired in the history of public transport on Gambian soil. Besides easing movement, this scheme has the potential to employ more than 100 Gambians.
Sidi Kanyi, the General Manager of the Gambia Transport Service, stated in his welcoming remark that the 70 new buses is the largest addition to the GTSC since it was established in 2013. Kanyi made known that the GTSC has been engaging the government for the expansion of its fleet and financial support, and said that these engagements have brought positive results and the government has indeed responded to their requests. He suggested that the new fleets are meant to upgrade public transport in the country in response to the high population growth rate and the resultant surge in demand for public transport.
This new fleet is meant to upgrade public transport in the country in response to the high population growth rate and the resultant surge in demand for public transport. This is a timely intervention, especially in light of recent improvements in road infrastructure. The Gambia, having one of the highest population densities in West Africa, needs an effective and efficient public transport system that should be able to address the challenges posed by the twin problems of congestion and pollution. I am very sure our esteemed passengers are eagerly looking forward to riding in these brand new buses in comfort and safety.
Mr. Kanyi further mentioned that this is the second time the president has inaugurated new buses in less than a year after he launched 38 new buses to ease urban transportation 8 months ago, and that the 70 new buses will enhance the national public transportation service and support the national development agenda for creating a well-organized, effective and affordable national public transport network. far-reaching allegations of the existence of sex in exchange for grades at the University of the Gambia, the authorities of the institution has said the principal suspect will be accused of the misconduct was invited to appear before an investigation panel on the 8th February 2023 to respond to allegations leveled against him. In a memorandum sent to the UTG community, the management said the lecturer concerned has also been denied access to the portal pending the outcome of the case. The management further disclosed that the UTG Governing Council has ratified the decision of the Senate to expunge the names of 8 students who were purportedly affected by the grade tampering saga from the list of graduates for the recent convocation ceremony held last month pending the outcome of the investigation. The University of the Gambia management said in January 2023, allegations were within the university community that the grades of some students had been tampered with in the students' portal. Meanwhile, the University of the Gambia Student Union also issued a statement on the allegation, saying that it has taken it with serious concern. The students said that they are monitoring the investigation with utter seriousness to ensure justice prevails. 2 people have been arrested by the Police Intervention Unit on Sunday after an attack on the Star of the Sea Church in Bakau. The duet are said to be part of a large group which also attacked and pepper-sprayed one Father Peter Jammeh and vandalized the statue of their Blessed Mary whilst people were attending Mass. According to Father Jammeh, the incident happened around 9 a.m. on Sunday, 9th April, and disclosed the mob first attacked and took away the bag of a woman, and when he intervened, more men showed up with knives and threatened to stab him. He said the PIU were called and succeeded in initially arresting 3 of the attackers, but one of the arrested men managed to escape. He said most of the gang members to flee the scene and are still at large. Aki Task Force present their report to President Barrow. Haddijatou reports.
The task force constituted to look into acute kidney injury that resulted in the deaths of more than 66 children has on Tuesday, April 11, presented their report to the President of the Republic of the Gambia at the State House in Banjul. This 17-member panel with Abubakar Aliou Souare as chairman was constituted sometime in October 2022 and tasked with looking into incidences of the acute kidney injury in children. The chairman presented the report to the president, stating that their investigation was carried out with high professionalism.
This investigation was carried out with professionalism, transparency, and fairness in line with set guidelines and terms of reference. During the course of the first 3 months, the investigation force conducted a series of key informants, interviews, review of relevant documents, as well as carrying out visits to a number of key institutions related to the subject matter.
Mr. Souare went on to express his gratitude to the President for the trust and confidence he accorded them in carrying out their assignment. His Excellency, the President, assured the public that he will carefully study all the recommendations in the report and respond appropriately. The President said the report will serve as a basic for the government to review public health regulations and prevent guidelines to strengthen the sector and enhance better service. Haddijatou reporting for VOD.
In commemoration of April 10th and 11th, marking 23 years since the Student Year 2000 demonstration in the Gambia, the Ministry of Justice stated that the government is setting up a well-publicized, special, internationalized judicial framework with ECOWAS to call for the persecution and perpetrators of April 10th and 11th students' demonstration victims in the Gambia after the government has accepted all the 17 recommendations made by the TRRC in White Paper. The victims of the April 10th and 11th, 2000 students massacre on Tuesday also gathered at Westfield Youth Monument for an annual commemoration of April 10th and 11th, marking 23 years since the incident occurred. Since after that, unfortunate events, image, and experiences still linger in the minds of Gambians, especially the victims, some of whom still continue to suffer the consequences after 2 decades. The April 10 and 11, 2000 students' demonstration, according to the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commissions, TRRC, were sparked by 2 incidents involving students, which the Gambia Student Union felt was not adequately addressed by the government. Ministry of Health launches the National Medicine Therapeutics Committee. Haddijatou reports.
The Ministry of Health on Tuesday officially launched the National Medicine Therapeutics Committee, which consists of medicine experts who are tasked with the responsibility of formulating the implementation of policies on medicine selection and use of medicines in the Gambia. The event was held on Tuesday, April 12, 2023 at the Ministry of Health in Banjul. Mr. Mohamed Lamin Njie, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, speaking at the event, stated that the newly set up committee is a policy recommending body that oversees the medication management in health system, and that the committee includes not just pharmacists but also physicians, nurses, administrators, risk and quality improvement managers.
This body has several roles and objectives. Among the objectives is to oversee policies and procedures, outline the bylaws, the rules, regulations, and other organizational policies. And it also improves the safety of drugs, the safety of drug therapy, and improve therapeutic outcomes. Among the specific roles this committee will be playing include, among others, to establish a meeting calendar and also to analyze and disseminate scientific, clinical, and health economic aspects of medications and therapeutic classes, to conduct drug use evaluation and data analysis. It will also record and archive the committee's activities.
Prof. Usman Jain, chairman of the commission, reaffirms their willingness to serve on this committee and that they would do their best within the limitations of their responsibilities and other aligned resources so as to achieve the desired outcome. He said that it's indeed an honor, and fortunately there is something to build on, and that hard task has been carried before through the shared responsibility of the Director of Health Services and the Director of National Pharmaceutical. Haddijatou reporting for VOD.
Now let's look at the news across our borders. The signatories of the deal set to organize a gradual transfer of power to civilians known as Framework Agreement have missed a deadline to advance towards a return to democracy in Sudan. According to a timeline set up by the parties, a new prime minister and institutions of the Transitional Authority should have been announced on Tuesday, 11th April. The deadline lapsed after the parties twice failed to sign a final transition deal over disagreements on the integration of the Parliamentary Rapid Support Force into the army. The point of contention between the two forces concerns the command and control of the committee tasked with overseeing the reorganization. Yasin, a member of the umbrella group of pro-democracy faction, wrote on Twitter Wednesday. Neither the army nor the RSF responded to the Associated Press requests for comment. Divisions between Southeast Deputy Leader, who is the RSF commander, and the military chief and de facto head of Sudan raises fear of confrontations between the army and the RSF. A A new provisional death toll from the Marburg virus outbreak that has been ranging for nearly 3 months in Equatorial Guinea has risen to 11 confirmed deaths, according to a new health minister report Tuesday. The last death recorded by the authorities was due to the epidemic of this virus cousin of Ebola and almost as deadly as it was on April 3rd. The ministry also mentioned 15 positive cases, none of which are hospitalized, and 385 contact cases followed against 604 last week, and the ministry in the document added Monday and posted on Twitter on Tuesday. Cases of the fever have spread from the eastern province, where it caused the first known death on January 7, to Bata, the economic capital of the small Central African country, where 9 cases have been confirmed according to authorities. 2 weeks ago, the WHO called on Equatorial Guinea to report cases of the virus, fearing a potential large-scale epidemic that could affect neighboring Gabon and Cameroon. WHO announced the deployment of additional experts and said it was also helping Gabon and Cameroon to strengthen preparedness and respond to the outbreak. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres appealed for massive international support for Somalia during his visit to the country, which came as it faces its worst drought in decades. He said the nation was dealing with humanitarian difficulties while at the same time also combating a serious terrorism threat. The international community has the responsibility and the interest to support Somalia with the resources needed to defeat Al-Shabaab, to build resilience, stabilize the areas, and to provide much-needed humanitarian assistance, he said.
A safe and inclusive civic space is essential to good governance and can help prevent and reduce violence. The full participation of Somalia's women and young people in political life, including the constitutional review, is critical. I welcome the government's commitment to women's rights and representation and call for the full implementation and codification of the 30% quota for women in elections.
Last year, Somalian President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud launched a major offensive against the military backed with aligned local clan militants. The government claims to have killed 3,000 Al-Shabaab fighters since the campaign was launched, but the militant group have repeatedly shown its ability to strike back. Guterres also met with representatives of Somalia civil society organizations working in women's affairs and empowerment, climate change, persons with disability, youth, and groups, and said he was deeply inspired by their vision and energy. A safe and inclusive civil space is essential to good governance and can help prevent and reduce violence. The full participation of Somalian women and young people in political life, including the constitutional review, is crucial at this time. Now let's look at the international news. Italian ministers have called for a 6-month state of emergency in response to a rise in migrant number crossing the Mediterranean from North Africa. The decision frees up €5 million in funds and coincides with the arrival of 3,000 migrants in 3 days. A number of boats have landed on the Italian island of Lampedusa, and the Coast Guard has rescued some 2,000 people since Friday. The UN has recorded the highest number of migrants deaths since 2017. Its migration body said 441 deaths has been recorded in the central Mediterranean in the first 3 months of 2023. It warns that delays in state-led rescues saw at least 127 people dying, while in another deadly incident there has been a complete lack of response. Sea and Civil Protection Minister Melon spoke of the 300% increase in migrant flow and said it was an absolute emergency that had put Italy's infrastructure at risk. We're talking about a phenomenon never seen in the past. The island alone cannot deal with this state of emergency. The state of emergency would not solve the problem, the minister stressed. It requires a responsible intervention by the European Union. Besides extra funding, it is unclear how the Italian measures will tackle rising numbers in the Mediterranean, but report says officials will be able to speed up reception procedures and repatriation of those not allowed to remain in Italy. Trump returns to New York to give deposition in fraud lawsuit, Haddijatou reports.
James filed a civil lawsuit in New York State Court in Manhattan last September against Trump and his 3 adult children for fraud, accusing them of misstating the values of real estate properties to obtain favorable loans and tax benefits. Trump also sued James after she filed that case. In March, Trump requested the court to delay the deadline of the case by 6 months, adding that extending the deadline would provide the necessary time to review the staggering volume of materials, including millions of pages of documents, and question dozens of witnesses. I will finally be able to show what a great, profitable, and viable company I built. Actually, some of the greatest real estate assets anywhere in the world, Trump said in another Truth Social post on Thursday. Trump, who is taking the regime of presidency in 2024, was also indicted by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office earlier this month. Haddijatou reporting for VOD.
A soldier has died of a gunshot wound at a military base in India's northwestern border state of Punjab, but it was not related to the killing of our soldiers there hours earlier, the Indian Army said. The soldiers at Bathinda militant station were told he had shot himself on Wednesday evening, the Army said in a statement on Thursday. There is no connection whatsoever to the killing of 4 soldiers by unknown attackers 12 hours earlier, it added. The soldiers were on duty with his service weapon. The weapon and cartridge case from the same weapon was found next to the soldier, the statement said. The soldier, who had returned from leave on the 11th April, was rushed to a military hospital where he died of his injuries, he added. Earlier on Wednesday, 4 soldiers were shot to death in their sleep in the barracks by 2 people. Police said it was not a terrorist attack. That's all we have for you today. Until we come your way again, I am Glorious Haddijatou Njie on the VOD Weekly News Recap. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.